जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। राधा माधव भगवान की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयेत्मुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, verse number 18 to 32. So what we'll do, we'll read all the translations from 18 to 32 first, and then we will recite the shloka on verse number 19, and then start discussions. Is it okay that way? Yes, so please help me with reading translations.
Lord Brahma, thus seeing the personality of Godhead in his fullness, was overwhelmed with joy within his heart, and thus full transcendental love and ecstasy, his eyes filled with the tears of love, he thus bowed down before the Lord. That is the way of the highest perfection for the living being, Paramhamsa.
And seeing Brahma present before him, the Lord accepted him as worthy to create living beings, to be controlled as he desired, and thus being much satisfied with him. The Lord shook his hands with Lord Brahma, and slightly smiling addressed him as this.
The beautiful personality of Godhead addressed Lord Brahma. O Brahma, impregnated with the Vedas, I am very much pleased with your long accumulated penance with the desire for creation. Hardly am I pleased with the pseudo-mystics.
I wish you good luck, O Brahma. You may ask from me, the giver of all benediction, all that you may desire. You may know that the ultimate benediction, as the result of all penances, is to see me by realization.
The highest perfectional ingenuity is the personal perception of my abodes, and this has been possible because of your submissive attitude in the performance of severe penance according to my order.
O sinless Brahma, you may know from me that it was I who first ordered you to undergo penance when you were perplexed in your duty. Such penance is my heart and soul, and therefore penance and I are non-different.
I create this cosmos by such penance. I maintain it by the same energy, and I withdraw it all by the same energy. Therefore, the potency is penance alone. Penance only.
Lord Brahma said, O personality of Godhead, you are situated in every living entity, heart, as the supreme director, and therefore you are aware of all endeavors by your superior intelligence, without any hindrance whatsoever.
In spite of that, my Lord, I am praying to you to kindly fulfill my desire. May I please be informed how, in spite of your transcendental form, you assume the mundane form, although you have no such form at all.
Text 27. And please inform me how you, by your own self, manifest different energies for annihilation, generation, acceptance, and maintenance by combination and permutation.
Text 28. O Master of all energies, please tell me philosophically all about them. You play like a spider that covers itself by its own energy, and your determination is infallible.
Text 29. Please tell me so that I may be taught in the manner by the instruction of the personality of Godhead, and may this act instrumentally to generate living entities without being conditioned by such activities.
O my Lord, the unborn, you have second hand with me, just as a friend does with a friend, as if equal in positions. I shall be engaged in the creation of different types of living entity, and I shall be occupied in your service. I shall have no perturbations, but I pray that all this may not give rise to the pride, as if I were the supreme.
The personality of Godhead said, knowledge about me as described in the scriptures, is very confidential, and it has to be realized in conjunction with devotional service. The necessary paraphernalia for that process is being explained by me. You may take it up carefully.
All of me, namely my actual eternal form and my transcendental existence, color, qualities, and activities, let all be awakened within you by factual realization out of my causeless mercy.
Thank you. Now let's turn our attention to verse number 19. We'll do the synonyms first. Tam, unto Lord Brahma. Priyamanam, worthy of being dear. Samupasthitam, present before. Kavim, the great scholar. Praja, living entities. Visarge, in the matter of creation. Nija, his own. Shashana, control. Arharanam, just suitable. Prabhashe, addressed. Ishat, mild. Smita, smiling. Sochasha, with enlightening. Gira, words. Priya, the beloved. Priyam, the counterpart of love. Pritamanah, being very much pleased. Khare, by hand. Sparshan, shaking. Tam priyamanam samupasthitam kavim praja visarge nija sashanarharanam Babashi sat smita sochi sagira Priya priyam pritamana kare smarshan. Try. Priyamanam samupasthitam kavim Praja visarge nij shashanarharanam Vashishat smita sochi sagira Priya priyam pritamana kare sprashan Tam priyamanam samupasthitam kavim Visarge nija sashanarharanam Babhashi smita sochi sagira Priya priyam pritamana kare sprashan Tam priyamanam samupasthitam kavim Praja visarge nija sashanarharanam Okay. There are a lot of wonderful instructions in this set of verses. They are very fundamental and they are very important for the success of our spiritual life. I would like to zoom out a little bit what's going on in the storyline at this point. this is the conversation between Lord Vishnu and Brahma. Lord Vishnu is a god, and the Brahma is an engineer hired by Lord Vishnu to create this universe. So he is the owner and he is appointed engineer to do the work on behalf of Lord. So this is the original conversation happening in this universe, in this created universe. So we are so fortunate that we have access to this conversation going on. Before this conversation, there is a conversation happening between King Parikshit and Sukdev Goswami. And King, just before this chapter, Maharaj Parikshit has asked so many questions to Sukdev Goswami. I want to just contemplate the condition in which Parikshit Maharaj is. He is on the verge of death, right? He has been cursed to die within 7 days, and this is probably just first day of that going on. It's a very initial conversation. And if you see the questions that he's asking, he's so detailed in his questioning. And there is not even a change of fear or concern or stress in his mind that, oh, he's about to die. He is very eager, very enthusiastic to know all the details of the pastimes of the Lord. And not only the direct, seemingly direct pastimes of the Lord, where Lord interacts with his devotee in a very intimate settings, he is interested in knowing about the creations by the Lord, which seems like a little bit external from our mundane perspective. But from the vision of Parikshit Maharaj, these are all the activities of the Lord, and the presence of Lord can be equally felt in all of these wonderful activities of the Lord. So this is a very wonderful lesson that if we want to hear Bhagavatam, then that should be the mood of eagerness and the sense of urgency by which we should hear Bhagavatam. What can be more urgent than the matter of death? And he is placing hearing of Bhagavatam above that. Similarly, we can learn from hearing of Arjuna, right, where Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Lord Krishna. And what was the condition? He was totally stressed in the most important moment of his life, and he was unable to do his duties. So we see that these wonderful texts are presented as instructions at the moment when it's very difficult moments. So right now in our life, seemingly nothing urgent, there's no severe urgency, there is no calamities. So definitely we can benefit from this text. Like if those great personalities could apply in those dangerous, difficult moments, then definitely we can get inspiration from them and take this text very seriously. So what is happening from the beginning of this chapter? After all the questions of Parikshit Maharaj, Sukdev Goswami start answering. And the very beginning, he answers the very first question, that why this living entity, which is transcendental to this material, to this matter, how is that material living entity is encased into this matter? How can that happen? And he gives that answer very shortly, that it's a misidentification with the matter. It's when we start thinking ourselves as an enjoyer of this matter, then we get implicated. But when we see ourselves as an original, in our original identity, which is being a lover of God, being a servant of God, being an intimate part and parcel of God, then we become liberated. So, and then there's a background story of how in the beginning of this creation, Lord Brahma, when he was born, he was very confused what to do. And then he heard the instructions from Lord Vishnu that you should do austerities, tapa. And then he took that very seriously and very genuinely, and he conducted very severe austerities for thousands of years by demigod calculations. And then, being pleased with him, Lord Vishnu gave him his audience. And he showed him the vision of his spiritual abode. And so these set of verses are describing the response of Lord Brahma and Lord Vishnu, what happens thereafter. So how Lord Brahma responded. So very first response of Lord Brahma is that when he saw Lord Vishnu and his beautiful abode and all the residents of that Vaikuntha planet, then he was overwhelmed with joy in his heart, and tears of ecstasy came in his eyes, and out of humility he bowed down before the Lord. So this is the moment we are all preparing our life for, that we are practicing spiritual life. So someday we will have audience of Lord, and that's the climax. That's the climax of our spiritual life. So this is a very this interests me a lot, that how different devotees received Lord. Like we see the story of Dhruv Maharaj, we see the story of Prahlad Maharaj. So when they got the audience of Lord first time, how they respond, what was their response, how they received the Lord. So in the purport of this very first verse, Srila Prabhupada gives wonderful instructions, which is very important. Jnane priyasamudapasya namanti eva. That the meaning of that instruction, that verse is that how we can achieve complete perfection. We can achieve complete perfection by not trying to pursue the path of empirical philosophical speculation about who God is, who is the ultimate source, but by being humble and give up the efforts of our mundane intelligence and take shelter of intelligence given in the scriptures and hear from a proper sadhu, proper saintly person who is authentic. When we hear about Lord's pastimes from a genuine sadhu, submissively giving our faith, and when we live an honest life, then simply doing that, staying wherever we are, we don't have to change our circumstances, we don't have to leave our house or go to forest or mountain and pursue severe austerities. We simply, this process of living honest life and hearing about Lord's narration and giving up our mundane intelligence effort, trying to understand God and submissively hearing from the Lord, that conquers the Lord who is unconquerable in the three worlds. Ajita Jita. That the Lord who is Ajita, who is unconquerable, can be conquered by simple process of hearing. And the very beginning of Bhagavatam establishes this fact. The very first verse of Bhagavatam talks about who is God, absolute truth, right? And then it talks about the absolute truth is the one from whom everything comes, who maintains everything and destroys everything. And there are 7 symptoms of absolute truth given. And the second verse of Bhagavatam establishes what is this book, Bhagavatam. So that establishes that although the absolute truth is independent, swarat, cannot be captured, but if a devotee is sincere in hearing Bhagavatam with submissive heart, then the Lord can be very quickly captured in his heart. So that gives the contrast that the swarat, independent Lord, can be easily captured in the heart if we are submissively hearing Bhagavatam. So that is the first verse, and the Brahma is establishing, is showing the way of perfection, that how he achieved his perfection was submissively following the instruction of Lord. When the Lord asked him to do austerities, he did that. Now this verse, now here is a response from Lord Vishnu to verse number 19. Now we are on verse number 19, where Lord Vishnu, how he responds, he's saying, on seeing Brahma present before him, the Lord accepted him as worthy to create living beings. So first, Lord Vishnu appointed Brahma as a worthy servant who can be entrusted this most important task of taking care of the living beings, bringing living beings into this material universe and taking care of them. And he considered Lord Brahma worthy of being controlled as he desired. So he is accepting Lord Brahma as a servant. So he has accepted Lord Brahma as his own, and he so happy with Lord Brahma that he shook his hands. And in this purport, we have not read the purport? We have not read this purport, right? So let's read this purport and understand some more instructions here.
The creation of the material world is not blind or accidental. The living entities who are ever conditioned or nityabadha are thus given a chance for liberation under the guidance of his own representative like Brahma. The Lord instructs Brahma in Vedic knowledge in order to diffuse this knowledge to the conditioned souls. The conditioned souls are forgetful souls in their relationship with the Lord, and thus a period of creation and the process of dissemination of Vedic knowledge are necessary activities of the Lord. Lord Brahma has a great responsibility in delivering the conditioned souls, and therefore he is very dear to the Lord.
Brahma also does his duty very perfectly, not only by generating the living beings, the living entities, but also by spreading his party for reclaiming the fallen souls. The party is called the Brahma Sampradaya, and any member of this party to date is naturally engaged in reclaiming the fallen souls back to Godhead, back home. The Lord is very much anxious to get back his parts and parcels. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, no one is more dear than that the one who takes the task of reclaiming the fallen souls back to Godhead.
There are many renegades from the Brahma Sampradaya whose only business is to make men more forgetful of the Lord, and thus entangle them more and more in material existence. Such persons are never dear to the Lord, and the Lord sends them deeper into the darkest region of matter, so that such envious demons may not be able to know the Supreme Lord.
Anyone, however, preaching the mission of the Lord in the line of the Brahma Sampradaya is always dear to the Lord, and the Lord, being satisfied with such a preacher of the authorized bhakti cult, shake hands with him in great satisfaction.
Can anybody explain? It is said that Lord is self-satisfied, Atmaram, right? He doesn't need anything. Then why did he create this universe? Why did he create so many living entities? What's the purpose behind? What is that? To rule over this universe and the living entities. That's one answer. Okay? Let's hear more.
He said that it's because we desire to lord over the material nature. We desire to lord over the material world. That he creates this.
Okay. So that's the answer of why he created this universe. That because we desire to lord over, so he created a facility for us to do what we want to do. Right? But why did he create living entities? Yes, bro.
For the pleasure, Prabhuji, for creating the pastimes and enjoying with the other living entities and creating that rasa.
To increase his happiness. To increase his pleasure, and by interacting with his loving devotees will increase his happiness. Perfect. So nice answers. So yes. So Lord is actually self-satisfied, and he doesn't have to do any of this creation and all these complexities. So what is the crux behind? What is the fundamental idea behind? Everything has a proper usage and an improper usage, right? So we may get a table, and then if the one leg of the table is short, then table is like moving, and you can use your iPhone to stabilize it. That's one use of iPhone. Or you can take the iPhone and make calls and connect with anybody, your near and dear ones in the whole world. That's other uses of iPhone. There's the correct uses of iPhone is that it's such a costly device, and you are using it just as to stabilize the table is just being a very narrow-minded, right? What is the word for that? That miserly mindset, right? So the real purpose of us, we are created beings by the Lord, is to give pleasure to the Lord. So if we are seeking our own pleasure, that's a misuse of our existence. So this is the fundamental knowledge. So here the words are used, Priya, Priyam, Preet. 3 times the word Priya is used. That how pleased Lord Vishnu is with Lord Brahma. Why? Because Lord Brahma is going to be assistant to Lord Vishnu in the most dear service. And what's the most dear service? That to bring back this fallen, forgetful souls who have deviated from their purpose of real existence, of their real purpose of their existence, is to please Lord, who have deviated from that, to bring them back into the remembrance of their relation with the Lord and re-establishing their loving relation with the Lord. So anybody who assists in this intimate, dear service becomes very dear to the Lord. That's why we see the word dear 3 times in this verse, right? So Lord Vishnu is giving Lord Brahma this very intimate service, and that's why this Brahma has become very dear to Lord Vishnu. And he is so dear that he is hugging him and shaking hands like a very dear one. So this is the crux. So when we love somebody, what's the best way to reciprocate that love? I would like to hear some thought that, just imagine you have your parents, your friend, your beloved, or what's the best way to love that person? Huh? Give them chocolates. Okay, that's definitely one way. It will be applicable to service and sacrifice for that person. Yes?
We were talking about this yesterday, but not letting the love go by putting in zero effort, because it takes effort to show love.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. So when we love somebody, then first of all, in the beginning stages, we think that love means I love somebody because that person gives me happiness. It's the reverse understanding. That I love my boyfriend, my girlfriend, that, oh, because I derive happiness from that person. But in the more advanced stage, we love somebody, that means we want to give happiness to that person, right? And to give that happiness, sometimes we may not be receiving direct attention of that person, we may not get favorable reciprocation, still we want to give happiness to that person. That's even further level of advanced stage of love. And then further advanced stage of love is that I'm not attached, that I should be the one giving happiness to that person. It could be somebody else is better in giving a particular, like making certain arrangement for my beloved. So I will make sure that that person is doing that arrangement, not me. I'm not attached to that, it should be me. Because I may be substandard, I may not be expert. So let that person do that service, who is better at it. So that's a further advanced stage of love. And so when we do preaching, in the beginning stages, we may do preaching, we may do outreach to bring people, or we may be counting, oh, I have brought so many people. We are feeding our own false ego in doing so. But the mood in which we should do preaching is that all of us, the Lord created all of us because He wanted to increase His happiness by reciprocating with us. And each one of us is invested with a specific skill or talent or capability or potential to please Lord, right? All of us are very relevant. In a very specific way we can please Lord that is different from other person. So each one of us are very unique in giving pleasure to the Lord. So when we see each other with that light, then we will respect each other much more. If we really love Lord, then we will love that which is valuable to our beloved, right? Tadiya Nam Samarchitam, that more than worship of Lord directly is a worship of His related things or devotees. So when we see each other having that potential of giving pleasure to the Lord, then how carefully we will deal with each other. And when we reach out to people, we are thinking that, oh, I want to increase the pleasure of my Lord by connecting all these lost souls back to my Lord so that they can remember the relation and the Lord can be more happier connecting with them. So that's a internal mood in which we should do the outreach. So these are the wonderful instructions in this text. And then verse number 19, Lord is saying to Brahma that I am very much pleased with your penances and austerities. And he says, I'm hardly pleased with the pseudo-mystics. So what is the instruction in this verse? So it is not that the intensity of our penance is what pleases the Lord. It's not that, when we do nirjal, when we don't drink any water and fast completely, that will please the Lord. So what will please the Lord is the devotion with which we do our services to the Lord. Sometimes the services may be very simple and sometimes it may have some hardship. So what pleases the Lord is the intention behind our service, the devotion behind the service, that's what pleasing to the Lord. So, and the Lord is saying to the Brahma that because you did these austerities without any duplicitous attitude. I'm not recalling the exact words. Okay, so after this, Lord Vishnu tells Brahma that I can offer you any benediction. You can ask for any benedictions from me. You ask, and then Lord Brahma, what does he ask? So Lord Brahma asks that, I know that he gives the analogy of a spider, that my dear Lord, just like a spider is not entangled into its own creation, it creates the web and it eats the web back. Similarly, I'm going to do this complex task of creating this material universe. So please bless me that I also do not get entangled. So please explain how you do that so I may learn from that and I may do that. And the most important thing Brahma asks is that he doesn't want to become proud. So this is also very instructive, that sometimes we want to do big services because we want name and fame. We want to establish that, oh, how capable I am or how great I am. So the intention is not to give pleasure to our teachers or our Supreme Lord. Intention is to establish our own pride. So here Lord Brahma is teaching us that should not be the motivation behind taking up big projects or behind taking up any service. The intention should be to please the Supreme Lord and to please our Guru. So these are some of the jewels of instructions in this set of verses. And then what will follow after this is in a very condensed form of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this Srimad Bhagavatam was originally spoken by Supreme Lord to Brahma in just 4 verses. And then it got expanded into this whole book of 12 volumes by the expansion by devotees. So Lord Vishnu says to Lord Brahma that knowledge about me is very confidential in the scriptures. So we should be feeling very fortunate that we have access to that confidential knowledge. So when we read Bhagavatam, it's not any ordinary descriptions. It's a real description, and it's very valuable, and we should take it very carefully. So these are some of the things I want to share in this narration. I would like to see if you have any discussion, questions, or comments. Yes, sir. Mike.
I was curious, Srila Prabhupada was talking a lot about the Brahma Sampradaya, and he was specifically mentioning that, like, it was kind of like it was very much focused on the Brahma Sampradaya. Maybe I can find the part he was saying. Let me see. Whoever's preaching the mission of the Lord in the line of the Brahma Sampradaya is always dear to the Lord, and the Lord being satisfied with such a preacher. So I'm kind of curious, what's the significance of the Brahma Sampradaya instead of the other paths, which are also bhakti and which are also directed towards Krishna, but they're not in this Brahma Sampradaya?
Okay, so when you say other path, you're referring to other Vaishnava Sampradayas?
Yeah, like the Sri Sampradaya, Kumar Sampradaya.
In my understanding, we will not distinguish, they are all bona fide. Prabhupada explains in many other places that there are 4 schools of Vaishnava teachings, Brahma Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Kumar Sampradaya, and Sri Sampradaya. So they are all bona fide schools of Vaishnavas, and if we are fortunate to connect with any one of them, that will give perfection to our life. But since here the context is about Lord Brahma and he started one school, so that's why we're talking. But this is our good fortune that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu happens to appear in this sampradaya, so special in that way, but we'll still not say that other sampradayas are lesser. We have access to the similar knowledge there also. Yes.
So I'm also kind of curious, like if, I guess you kind of explained it, you kind of touched on it on that, like the reason we're in the Brahma Sampradaya is because of Lord Chaitanya, but is there anything else that distinguishes the Brahma Sampradaya from others, and that's why we are here instead of in the other Sampradaya?
I can say that Other sampradayas worship Lord in a more formal mood. They worship Lakshmi Narayan in the Sri Sampradaya, which is a more formal way of seeing the Lord, like Lord Vishnu. But when we see Lord Krishna, it's a more intimate relation with the Lord. So Lord Krishna is like God at home, and when the God is in office, that's like Lord Vishnu. So other sampradayas give us access to Lord in the office, and the Brahma sampradayas give access to the Lord at home. So it's much more sweeter in that way, much more intimate. And even in the Brahma sampradaya, there's a mood of worship of the Lord in the form of a child, Bal Gopal, like relating to the Lord in the mood of parental affection, right? And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brings further deeper access of the mood of beloved, the mood of the gopis, the cowherd girls, that they worship Lord in a more intimate way as the beloved. So we get access, but it's not that we have to practice that. Our sadhana is still very formal. We chant Hare Krishna, follow four principles, follow instructions of Guru. But it will give us access to that deeper circles in the spiritual world. So that's the special significance of this line. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu provides us access. Yes. The secret of success of spiritual life is following the instruction of Guru. That we should never forget. And that's what here Lord Vishnu is telling to Lord Brahma, that because you followed my instruction, Lord Vishnu told him to do tap, austerities, and Brahma did it sincerely, and then he becomes successful. The whole Bhagavatam is filled with these narrations. We have a story of Chitraketu, a great king whose son died. He was very sad, and then Narada Muni and Angira rishis came, and he heard from them, and they gave him instructions that how he can make his life perfect. And within 11 days, he saw the darshan of Lord. So this is the shortest I have seen that somebody can perfect his life within 11 days. And the secret was he had firm faith in the instruction of Guru. So when we don't have faith in the Guru's words, then we elongate our spiritual life. But when we have firm faith in the Guru's instructions and we follow that with that conviction, then our success will be very short. We can get success very, very quickly. We see the story of Dhruv Maharaj, we see the story of Prahlad Maharaj. So everything, the secret behind all of them is they heard the instruction of Guru, their teacher, and they took it as their life and soul. That's the secret.
I have another question, unless someone else has a question. Okay. I was kind of wondering in the translations, Krishna, he was talking about, let me see if I can pull it up. I screenshotted it. A second. He was basically saying how penance and I are non-different, and how I create this cosmos by penance, I maintain it by the same energy, and I withdraw it by the same energy. Therefore, the potency is penance only. So I was kind of wondering, it's
that is a little bit cryptic when we see just a translation, but when we see the purport, then we can understand the real meaning of the penance. What's the meaning of penance is taking voluntary hardship, for a greater gain. That's what penance is. Here, the penance is taking hardship to follow the instructions of a Guru, right? To bring pleasure to your beloved, to follow the instructions of Lord. So that's what penance is. And that can be translated into devotional service. And that can be translated, Prabhupada gives this details, and that can be translated into the internal potency of the Lord. So devotional service is nothing but the internal potency of the Lord. So we can read this verse saying, by my internal potency, I create this. So this was really something difficult to understand for me also. Then I read it again. Then we understood this deeper meaning of behind this. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So I just one curiosity that So we heard many pastimes where Lord Vishnu or Krishna appeared before devotees. So devotee pay their obeisances, or like in case of Kumar, Krishna hug. But I think this is the first, this is the only pastime where Krishna shaking hands with the Brahma. So is there any significance of it?
Like he is treating Brahma as a very beloved friend. He is very happy with Brahma. Yeah, I don't know any other meaning. I think it's just touching body, basically. Shaking hands, touching body, like giving the audience. Yes. Yeah. Guru, sorry, I'm not able to reveal more detail on that. Yes. This Prabhu is a storehouse of questions.
Shaking hands has to come from somewhere.
Yeah, okay, very good. That's right. Yeah. Okay, Prabhu, I think we are good then? 4 minutes earlier. Hare Krishna. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.